Trump has 100% approval on Operation Epic Fury. That can't be right? No poll is 100%. But here's the thing. CNN said that, but then you start to look at these other polls and, well, if you put them all together, he's got a lot of support, at least among the MAGA base. But the grifters I was talking about yesterday are still out there saying, nobody's going to vote for him again. It's terrible. See, the whole game, as you'll hear Dan Bongino say here in a second, I got a clip from him because he says it so well, better than I ever could. The whole game is, if you criticize Trump when you used to support him, you get clicks. There's your game. Blue states are in a panic. Actually, not the people. The people who lead those states are in a panic because they're losing their population. So whatever happened to a couple of years ago, they were daring people to move to Florida and Texas and Arizona. Well, if you dare the American people, they'll do it. And now they're in a panic. Why? Because they're losing their tax base. So we'll get to that as well. But my favorite story of the day we'll wrap up with today. I know you don't want to regurgitate the Oscars again because you probably didn't watch it either, but I think you'll get a kick out of this. Remember Conan O'Brien taking a shot at the Turning Point USA halftime show? Probably shouldn't have done that because it turns out the Turning Point halftime show outdrew the Oscars. Takes a couple of days to get ratings in, but anyway, we won't play celebrities anymore, but we'll wrap it up with that fun little fact. But thanks for being here. Wicked Radio live stream and the replay, X, YouTube, Facebook, and the audio podcast posted shortly thereafter on all your favorite audio platforms. Let's get to my favorite story of the day. This is Michigan Governor Kathy Hochul daring people to, New York Governor Kathy Hochul daring people to move to Florida. Go ahead, get out of here. Well, now things have changed. Let's start backwards. This is what she said yesterday. She's in a panic now where she said, New Yorkers are leaving. We need to get them back. Let's go down to Florida, put them on a bus and bring them back. You know why? Because we're losing our tax money. That's why. Here she was yesterday. And then we'll work back to a couple of years ago what she said.
And being conscious of the facts that I need people who are high net worth to support the generous social programs that we want to have in our state. Right? Now, there are some patriotic millionaires who stepped up. Okay, cut me the checks. I mean, just if you want to be supportive, but maybe the first step should be go down to Palm Beach and see who you can bring back home. Because
first of all, did you hear that? There are some patriotic New Yorkers who stayed. So patriotic in her definition is people who just give to her campaign and social programs and all this other crap and all these slush funds and NGOs and all this other garbage. See, now they're in a panic. Now they know. But what should tell you they're not very smart because it was just a couple of years ago. Audio's a little low. This is the best clip I could find. This is just a couple of years ago. Her on the campaign trail saying, go ahead. You want to move to Florida? Go ahead, I dare you. Well,
and we're here to say that the era of Trump and Zeldin and Molinaro, just jump on a bus and head down to Florida where you belong, okay? Get out of town.
I know it's low to hear. Jump on a bus and head to Florida where you belong. Well, they did, and now you're in a panic. I love it. But she's not the only one. It's not just New York. It's happened in, that's why I had that stuck in my head. It's happened in Michigan, even Ohio, which is considered a red state, especially Massachusetts. You know I pay attention to Massachusetts because I still have so much family there, and I'm still there. Let's do a quick general reference grok search on this one. How many people have left Massachusetts since 2020? Because that's when COVID really hit everything, right? And everything went crazy. And I can tell you personally, going to Massachusetts during 2020, and I had to for some family business, it was like going to a ghost town. It was scary. And I was coming from Florida where we were pretty much open. You know, a couple of shutdowns here and there. And then there was a time I landed at Logan Airport, the JetBlue terminal in Massachusetts in 2021, even early 2021. Guy, I literally was the only person in the terminal. There must have been a couple of gate workers that were on break or whatever. There were no people. There were no workers. It was spooky. It was like a Stephen King movie. But anyway, quick grok search because I had heard this, but this will back me up. How many people have left Massachusetts since 2020? 182,000 people have left that state. You think that has an effect on the tax base? Yup. Now they'll tell you, good, that means less people, less traffic. Okay, yeah, probably. Yeah, you're actually right, less congestion. You know what it also means? It means they're not going to lose their tax base. It's like Kathy Hochul in New York just said, cut me the checks. They're not going to lower their taxes for all their programs. They're not going to stop creating slush funds. So all that tax burden goes to you that are still there. Moving trucks aren't going to Massachusetts and New York. They're going to the U-Haul trucks. And the most accurate survey of all are the U-Haul surveys. Have you seen that? the number of U-Haul trucks, where they're going to and from, it's fantastic. And it's almost always picture-perfect accurate. They're leaving blue states and they're going to red ones. Gee, I wonder why. Because you dared them. That's why. All right. So keep an eye on that, because I'm telling you. And by the way, that number I gave you from Massachusetts, 182,000, look it up. That's a census number. I grabbed it from Grok, but you can find it anywhere. Look at it's an exodus out of these states. Now, those of us in red states who were smart enough years ago to get out of the blue states, we don't want them coming here and voting in the same crap that they had. That's a major factor. It's a concern. You know, I know a lot of people who want to put a sign on the Florida-Georgia border facing this way saying, we're full, no more, sorry, no more. But it goes to show you what people want and what they don't want. A ton of those Massachusetts people, by the way, are going to New Hampshire. And the Granite State people are saying, don't bring your Massachusetts crap here. Don't do it. So the world is changing. Our population is changing. If you dare people to move, they're gonna. Good job, Kathy Hochul, and now she's in a panic. All right, this is something else. I was talking about the grifters yesterday a lot. People online that built up major platforms being America First and MAGA and pro-Trump. They even maybe interviewed him, and now all of a sudden, because it's fashionable, they're waiting for the opportunity to do so, to bag on him, to turn heel, to turn into a rat. Yeah, which is fine. By the way, I want to make this clear. It's perfectly fine to criticize President Trump. You should, to keep him honest. You should criticize any of these leaders. But this is something different. These people are intentionally turning on him for clicks. You know that, right? You know who explained this perfectly, better than I did yesterday, was Dan Bongino. Took him a day to do it, but he did this yesterday on a Fox News interview last night. And he's exactly right about this. He knows a lot of these people, but here's why it's unique. He also knows President Trump intimately. I mean, he just left the administration, but he's back on air talking about it.
Sean, this is cowardly by these people who you mentioned who are doing this, because what they do is they call out Donald Trump's entire cabinet and circle of friends and advisors, but they never call out Trump because they know they'll get crushed like a bug. They know it, and then the grift dries up. Then the money dries up. So what they do is, because they have no balls, you say it again, no balls, grow a pair. They don't want to take him on directly because he will crush them. So they go about attacking everyone else. They do this all the time. And I call this the Donald Trump has no agency theory. Like Donald Trump doesn't have the ability to think for himself. You've known him longer than I have. I had the pleasure of working for him. You don't know jack squat about this guy if you think he's getting dog walked around by anyone. He's the one walking the damn dog. I promise.
That's my favorite part about this, is what the grifters are saying. And they all say the same thing. This is one of those telltale signs you got to watch out for propaganda and grift and all this other crap. Israel is running our foreign policy. You really think that guy in the White House right now is going to get led around by the nose or by the collar by anybody, especially like you really think that? You really think? And look at the latest Truth Social post where he criticized one of Israel's strikes in the Operation Epic Fury. It's just, guys, it's crap. Now, it's fine. If people have been consistent all along in criticizing Trump, they're probably on the level and they get it. People from the get-go have been against his foreign policy. That's their opinion, and they should hold him accountable, absolutely. But these people all at once that magically changed, turned on a dime like this, and they're all saying the same thing like Dan Bongino said. They're attacking the administration, but not him. And they're all saying that he's getting led around by Israel. Fools, grifters, liars, cheats. That's what they are. And they built giant platforms online, and now they're turning on him. The good news is, boy, there was a backlash against them yesterday, and maybe they'll just go away. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But how about that support for Operation Epic Fury? There was a poll out yesterday that got a lot of attention from CNN. Now, you know I always tell you one of the signs to look for is if CNN releases a poll or something positive about the Trump administration, it's more than likely true because they hate to admit it, right? Unless you're talking about this. Unless they go over the top. Like a poll that says he has 100% support. Okay, there's no poll on earth that has 100% support. That's just not it. That's not a thing. More on that in a second. But wait a minute. Here's what they said yesterday.
Yeah, you know, sometimes you look at the polling data and there are numbers that just jump off the screen at you, and this is one of those. Because just take a look here. MAGA GOP view of Trump. Approve 100%. 100%. If you are a member of MAGA and the GOP, you approve of Donald John Trump. 0% say that they disapprove. You don't have to.
Okay, you should be, your antennas should go up on that one, and you say, okay, 100%, okay, that's not, this really feels like, and I thought it too at the time, I said it out loud, all right, this is a psyop. This is CNN trying to butter them up or gas up MAGA before the midterms. This is something fishy because this isn't just one of their regular polls. This is over the top. It just feels, smells, looks like propaganda. So, granted, 100%, that's not a real poll. I get that. But then you start to dig a little deeper and you say, okay, support for, what that was a poll out of the support for Operation Epic Fury, like they had yesterday, which was into the 80s or something. But then you say, all right, I wonder if there's any other polls that are somewhat similar, a little more on the level and trustworthy than CNN is, but I wonder if anybody else is saying anything. Well, this caught my attention just this morning. Here's one for you. You ready? This is out of the New York Post, who are posting another poll. Reports of Republican fractures over President Trump's decision to go to war with Iran have been greatly exaggerated, according to these guys, JL Partners. Well, that's not a CNN poll. They have a survey that showed 83% of likely Republican voters strongly or somewhat support Operation Epic Fury. Okay, it's not 100%, so it's more believable already. 83%. Only 9% said they strongly or disapprove of what he's doing there. All right, well, this led me to something else. Let me dig a little further here. What are some of these other polls saying? Support for U.S. military campaign. This is from the Washington Post. Now, this is overall. This is even more believable, actually. Support, 42%, oppose 40%. Well, Bill, that's a lot lower than 100%. Keep in mind, this is the Washington Post. And the second thing is, this is their readers. If you get a Washington Post poll that has 42% in favor of Trump anything, that's massive, actually. All right, let's see what else we can find. Well, Economist YouGov poll that was just done and wrapped up. The Economist. Donald Trump's approval on Iran among MAGA. Approve 87%. There's poll after poll after poll. I think Rasmussen did another one. It was in the 80%. There's a lot of support here. Now, I'm not going to go so far as to believe the CNN poll, because CNN is almost always full of crap. And maybe that is a psyop, and they're trying to butter up MAGA before the midterms and give them a false sense of security. Maybe. But all of these things combined, what do I always say about polls? You have to look at every single one of them if you want to get any sense of what's really going on. And the most telling one of all, believe it or not, is from the Washington Post. If they have 42% approval of Operation Epic Fury, 42% from those people, that means it's not just MAGA supporting this. You know, you could. I know, I'm with you too. You can twist any poll any way you want till Sunday. But when you look at a lot of them and there's telling you a story there, there's something there. The bottom line is, and the moral of the story is, it's like the New York Post said, all of this crap about MAGA divided, MAGA's over because of Iran. I wouldn't believe it. Do you feel that in your heart? Do you feel it with the friends you go out to lunch with or have beers with? Nope. Do you know anybody in your life? Ask and look around and ask. You know anybody that's not going to vote for Trump or wouldn't vote for Trump if he could run for a third term because of Operation Epic Fury? I will guarantee you nobody's saying that. Guarantee it. Anyway, speaking of numbers, all right, this is my favorite story of the day. So not to dig up the Oscars. I'm not going to do that to you again. I didn't watch either. We were just playing some clips. It takes a couple of days for the ratings to come in, all right? A couple of days, because they have to combine everything now. And it's slower these days because, and this is important, it's relevant to the story, you have to go with on-air ratings, streaming ratings, downloads, all the digital stuff too where people watch it as well, online, on air, all that other crap, all combined. How did the Oscars do this year? And I promise this won't be a celebrity story, but how did they fare? Well, let me tell you this story. Not well. In fact, it was one of the worst of all time. Oscar ratings, 2026. 17 million people. Now you're thinking, Bill, 17 million people is nothing to sneeze at. Yes, it is, in television terms. That's like HGTV gets 17 million people. All right, maybe not, but maybe the Cartoon Network does. What does it mean? Here's what it means. Oscar ratings slump as viewers switch off over virtue signaling. That was the main reason. More polls to talk about. And woke activism. It was a 9% drop. It's also the lowest rated Oscars since 2022. Now, you should celebrate this. Why? Why, Bill? I didn't even watch. I don't care about them. They're out of my mind. Well, because this is the entertainment culture losing once again, and they don't get it. They don't understand that they're losing and nobody cares about them. This is an inside industry award that they decided to televise because there's a bunch of celebrities in the room. That's it. Nobody else cares. But here's why you should feel good about this. As a normal, everyday, hardworking, patriotic American, they don't get it is good because they're going to go away and continue to drop and lose and shrink and not affect you in your daily life. You want an example of how they don't get it? One clip. I know I promised no clips, but I got one clip from Conan O'Brien in his monologue talking about the Oscar show. Do you remember? And I think I played this on Monday. Do you remember him taking a shot at the Turning Point USA and the Kid Rock show? Remember the halftime alternative show? You remember that? Here's a little refresher, and then after this, you'll like what I have to say.
I should warn you, tonight could get political, okay? And if that makes you uncomfortable, there's an alternate Oscars being hosted by Kid Rock. Yeah. It's at the Dave & Buster's down the street. A lot of
Oh, yeah, a little dig there, yeah. David Buster. Yeah, how dare the American people look for something else than what the Super Bowl halftime show tries to shove down their throat, what Hollywood and entertainment tries to shove down the American people's throat. So let's go to it now. So we already know ratings are in, broadcast TV, online, internet downloads, 17 million for the Oscars in 2026, right? That's confirmed. They said that. This is their number. Lowest since 2022. It's a 9% drop from last year. You remember that? Remember the Kid Rock Turning Point USA alternative halftime show? No, it did not beat the regular NFL halftime show, no. But altogether, these are confirmed numbers. You know what it got? 25 million altogether. It landed at 25 million. You know where I'm going with this, and you know what it means. The Turning Point Kid Rock halftime alternative halftime show beat the Oscars. Yes, it did. And there's Conan taking a shot at it. That's all you need to know. You should feel good about that. They don't get it, and it's good that they don't get it because they're having less and less influence over your life. Well, Bill, they don't anyway. I don't pay attention to them. I know, I get it, but somebody in your life is. All right. Thanks for finding me. I appreciate you, as always. Don't forget about the audio podcast version. I post that as soon as we get off the live stream. It goes right off into the internet, and then it lands on whatever streaming, download, podcast platform you like to listen on. And a lot of you do that, so thank you so much for those numbers. Share, download, listen. And then the replay of this live stream on X and YouTube and Facebook, as always, getting closer and closer to the weekend, making a wicked awesome Thursday. I'll talk to you tomorrow.